I request the gathering to please maintain absolute silence. Thank you.
Kindly please silent your mobile phones.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sai Sashikant Rokkam.
And I'm Cherish Mejla.
We are extremely pleased to be the first to speak in this conference.
It's a great pleasure in welcoming you all to the International Conference on Breakthrough in Heuristics and Reciprocation of Advanced Technologies, BHARAT-22.
This conference is jointly organized by Department of EECE and CSC in GITAM Institute of Technology, GITAM deemed to be University, Visakhapatnam, in association with IEEE Vizag Bay section.
The mission of this conference is to promote the work of researchers who have used technology to help society's most pressing problems, as well as to discuss their future challenges.
As technology and social media improve, more emphasis is being placed on this application for the enhancement of people's lives and communities.
We would like to extend a special warm welcome to all our distinguished guests who have traveled so far to be with us today.
With these few words, I take the pleasure to invite Professor Beatrice 17J onto the dais. Ma'am is the head of the department, EECE, GITAM Institute of Technology, GITAM, and the organizing chair of the conference.
I request Professor R. Sirisha ma'am to come onto the dais. Ma'am is the head of the Department of Computer Science Engineering, GITAM Institute of Technology, GITAM deemed to be University, and she's the another organizing chair for this conference.
It's my privilege to invite Professor Vijay Chellaboina, Dean of Engineering, GITAM, and General Chair of BHARAT-22 onto the dais. A dedicated leader, setting the direction of the college and is always willing to serve the students.
With an immense honor, I invite Pro Vice Chancellor Academics, GITAM deemed to be University, Professor Vijay Shekhar E. Warrior onto the dais. Sir strives to develop new technology methodologies and apply ICT to education, which has enhanced students' learning. It is a pleasure for me to invite Dr. S. Lakshmi Narayana, Chair of IEEE Vizag Bay session, onto the dais. A man who provides the most excellent opportunity to influence people's development, engagement, and growth through IEEE Vizag Bay section.
With a great honor and pride, I invite Honorable President of GITAM, Mr. M. Sri Bharat, onto the dais. A dynamic young leader who is leading GITAM to become one of India's greatest deemed universities and becoming a global leader.
With the privilege, I invite guest of honor, Mr. G.S. Rao, Managing Director of Accenture Technology Solutions, onto the dais. Sir is a distinguished guest of alumni, GITAM, Electronics and Communication Engineering.
With immense pleasure, I invite our chief guest, Dr. Y. Srinivasa Rao, Director, NSTL, Visakhapatnam, onto the dais.
An outstanding scientist enhancing our country's defense mechanism.
When we pray with faith, we express it through our sincere thanks to the Supreme.
Now, I would like to call Niharika and group onto the dais to start our inaugural function with a prayer song. I request all the dignitaries on the dais to please seat.
गणनायकाय गणदैवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशानाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय बालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि गानचतुराय गानप्राणाय गानान्तरात्मने गानोत्सुकाय गानमट्टाय गानोत्सुकमनसे गुरुपूजिताय गुरुदैवताय गुरुकुलस्थायिने गुरुविक्रमाय गुह्यप्रवराय गुरवे गुणगुरवे गुरुदैत्यकलक्षेत्रे गुरुधर्मसदाराध्याय गुरुपुत्रपरित्रात्रे गुरुपाखण्डखण्डकाय गीतसाराय गीततत्त्वाय गीतगोत्राय धीमहि गूढगुल्फाय गन्धमट्टाय गोजयप्रदाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय बालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि.
Thank you, Niharika and team.
Light is a universal symbol of truth, knowledge, and understanding. It acts as a guide, keeping us from stumbling in the dark.
Now, I would like to request the dignitaries on the dais to proceed for lighting the lamp.
Thank you, honorable dignitaries. Now, let me take the pleasure to invite Professor Beatrice 17J, Organizing Chair, Head of the Department, EECE, to give opening remarks and report on BHARAT-22.
Honorable dignitaries honored of the dais, respected guests and delegates, dear colleagues and students, good morning and a very hearty welcome to the two-day international conference on breakthrough in heuristics and reciprocation of advanced technologies, BHARAT-22, with the theme Access to Future Technologies for Empowering Mankind. At an era where developments in the fields of VLSI, signal processing, artificial intelligence, computers, and communications are transforming our lives, making this world small and helping us to fight and thrive in spite of the impact of COVID-19 since 2 years. We, from the departments of EEC and CSC GIT GITAM, technically sponsored by IEEE Vizag Bay Section, feel privileged to conduct this two-day conference to deliberate on the technical advancements related to the fields of electrical and electronics engineering, telecommunications, computer science and engineering, and allied disciplines. The seed for organizing this conference was laid well before 1 year when the IEEE Vizag Bay Section announced that engineering colleges in and around Visakhapatnam can come forward to conduct IEEE conferences with their support. Then myself, backed up by the other organizing chair, conference secretary, and a team of dynamic faculty and students from EEC and CSE, started our preparation, making the website ready and submitting the application to get permission from IEEE to conduct the conference. After the permission was given by IEEE to conduct the conference in hybrid mode, we gave the call for papers in the following themes, most relevant to the prevailing cutting-edge technologies related to microelectronics, which covers VLSI and its allied areas, electrical systems, communications and networks, artificial intelligence, machine learning, cyber physical systems, which covers cybersecurity and IoT, signal and image processing, next generation technologies like blockchain technology, and various types of instrumentation. I'm happy to announce that the response to our call was excellent. We have received around 300 technical papers from academicians and researchers across the globe. I thank all the authors for having trusted us and submitted their research works as technical papers. After a very rigorous blind review process by 3 reviewers, 47 quality papers were selected for presentation and inclusion into the prestigious IEEE Explore, subject to meeting IEEE Explore scope and quality requirements. I thank the technical program chair, Professor VBS Indra Dutt, and their entire team for their hard work, and all the reviewers from India and abroad who has helped us with the review process. Now, about this two-day program, we have a plethora of activities. After the inaugural function, we are going to have an online keynote lecture by distinguished professor, Professor C.S. Jagdish from Australian National University, Australia, on semiconductor nanostructures for optoelectronics applications. And tomorrow morning, we have another online keynote lecture by Dr. Ravi Vatrapu from Ryerson University, Canada, on theoretical approach to computational social science and applications to business data analytics. We're also going to have 5 technically invited talks in online and offline mode these 2 days. They are model-free optimal control, a high-level introduction by our Professor C. Vijay Dean Engineering GITAM today afternoon. Tomorrow, we have a talk on optical wireless communications by Professor D. Sriram Kumar from NIT Trichy. Talk on introduction to Indian 5G testbed and the 5G frontal compression problem by Dr. Gandhi Radhakrishna from IIT Chennai. Talk on cyber security of IoT-enabled smart grids by Dr. Subhojit Ghosh from NIT Raipur. And talk on geocomputational challenges for rapid assessment of post-disaster areas using Earth observation data by Professor Surya S. Darba from IIT Bombay. In addition to these, we have talks on IEEE and Coursera as well. About the paper presentation sessions, 2 offline and 6 online sessions are scheduled on these 2 days. The 2 offline sessions will be conducted today afternoon in Ambedkar Seminar Hall and KRC Auditorium. To view our conference online, I request everyone to please log into our website, bharat22.gitam.edu, and you will find the complete program schedule there with Zoom links. I hope the deliberations of the conference will truly bring fruitful results, contributing to the research and development of our nation. Before I conclude, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our Honorable President, Sri Bharat Garu, whose young and dynamic leadership encourages us to do events like this. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and gracing this occasion with your valuable presence. I'm extremely thankful to our esteemed chief guest of the day, Dr. Y. Srinivasa Rao, outstanding scientist and director at NSTL Visakhapatnam, esteemed guest of honor, Mr. G.S. Rao, distinguished alumni of EEC department, managing director, Ascender Technology Solutions, for having consented to be here today with us in spite of their busy schedules. I wish to thank Dr. S. Lakshmi Narayana, Chair IEEE Vizag Bay Section and his team for the relentless support for the conference from day one. My heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Provis Academics, for his valuable presence and support, Registrar, Professor C. Vijay Dean Engineering, for his continuous support and guidance, Professor R. Sirisha HOD CSC for being my organizing partner, and the dedicated faculty and students of EEC and CSC department for making this event possible. I'm very thankful to our sponsors. Special thanks to the Coursera team for their major share of sponsorship. I conclude here, wishing the participants a great 2 days ahead. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
I'm honored to invite Professor Vijay Chalaboyana, Dean of Engineering, GITAM deemed to be University, General Chair, BHARAT-22, to address the gathering.
Good morning. First, I would like to thank Dr. Srinivasa Rao to be here, an STL director, and Mr. G.S. Rao. He's a proud alum of GITAM. He's also managing director at Accenture. I congratulate the organizers, Professor Seventh Line and Professor Sirisha, and thank all the support from IEEE, Dr. Lakshmi Narayana. This is the first time I met Professor Seventh Line was actually to discuss this particular conference almost 2 years ago, right? I joined GITAM about 2 years ago. And before I knew it, I was named General Chair. So don't assume that I have done anything for this conference beyond extending minimal support. So the hard work is all there. Yes, during pandemic, a lot of things had to go in a different direction than we expected. They endured all the difficulties, and then finally we are here, right? So one of the things that I noticed for the first time when I saw the proposal for conference was a long name. I didn't actually recognize that the acronym is Bharat, and sincerely appreciate President Bharat to be here for inaugural function of Bharat. And I hope this is only the first of many Bharats, right? So since I have many students here, I just want to give a story, I suppose. Why do we need to attend conferences? A simple practical reason is many of you probably are thinking of going for higher education. Even if you are not, I'm sure after a couple of years of IT and things like that, you will start thinking about higher education. So at that time, when you apply for jobs, masters or whatever, you will be needing papers. Today, unfortunately, the competition in getting admissions at best universities require some kind of differentiator, and then whether it's a grade paper or normal paper, you have to have a paper. It shows an indication that you have done something beyond your classwork. So therefore, do consider attending conferences and actually present a paper on your own. So please bug your faculty members to start working with you on papers, right? So, but those are practical reasons. The real reasons are, really fantastic for somebody like me who have grown up in conferences and things like that, right? So the first scientific conference that ever happened was in 1911. It was called Solvay Conference, sponsored by somebody, a businessman named Solvay, who was a chemical industrialist. And 1911, one of the attendees was Albert Einstein. I'm sure some of you have heard of his name. And he was still not popular. I mean, this was not the day of Instagram. So 1905, he wrote all his famous papers, but many people did not know his name. But one of the other senior members of this particular conference, who was motivation behind the conference, invited Einstein because he liked one of the papers. But this was almost the starting point of actually major work in quantum mechanics. So because Einstein presented a paper there. But let us think about it. 2 years of pandemic, we've been talking about online, and I don't think they would have survived it. Quantum mechanics would not have happened if they only had online talks, because we give online talks and then just move away and never have any discussion after that. So the advantage of having physical conferences outside the meeting rooms than actually the seminar hall. So the advantage of being in a physical conference is actually talking after hours and discussing various ideas and things like that. I can quote hundreds of examples where basically best ideas came out of discussions during basically a coffee break at a conference, right? So talking about Solvay conference, there was a 5th Solvay conference, the most famous conference. There's a photograph that you can search. We'll have the most intellectual power that world has ever seen. About 80% of them went on to get Nobel Prizes if they were not already, Nobel laureates at that time. So make use of these opportunities that are given to you. Certainly talk to the attendees, pay attention to what they are saying, because they are supposed to be talking about latest advances in terms of what is happening in the world. Somewhere, some idea may struck, and then basically that's a starting point of something new. So utilize these opportunities. As I said, without papers, you cannot really get these admissions these days. So you have a very practical reason why you should pay attention. Thank you very much. Have a great time at this couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the enlightening speech.
Let me take the privilege of inviting Dr. S. Lakshmi Narayana, General Chair, BHARAT-22 and Chair of IEEE Vizag Bay Section, to address the gathering.
Good morning. First, let me say a couple of words. I really pray to Sri Murthy Garu, who has been instrumental to all of us to be here in Visakhapatnam, a city of destiny. His vision and his ideas made us to stand before you. Really, I thank him. I pray him on that. Professor Sevantali, Professor Vijay Sri Bharat, Mr. G.S. Rao, Srinivasa Rao, Shirisha, and all of them, really my namaskars to them and all other dignitaries of the line of the dais and on the dais. It was really my privilege to stand before you. This was a second such conference what we are technically sponsoring in Visakhapatnam. We basically, IEEE became a full section in 2021. And with this kind of difficulties in pandemic situation, we basically started this conference in a completely face-to-face mode. And we could not do it because of the pandemic situation. We moved to this conference to the hybrid mode. good. Previous speakers really mentioned about the great works of the earlier scientists. And people come for conferences to present the research in the papers, and they publish and take away the papers back to them. Certainly, it is a true spirit for the people who really wanted to publish papers. I'll give a couple of examples on that. Many of the time, many of cases, we basically send a paper to the journal or conference. We hurriedly say that we want the result immediately. Conference means 3 months, conference means 6 months. Publication means 1.5 months. This is our targets, we fix it. I'll give a small example on that. In fact, he's none other than my son who really sent a paper to Nature Journal. He sent a journal 1 year, 8 months back, 1 year, 8 months back. It was accepted yesterday, only yesterday. That means a paper, it really, yeah, I'm sure that accepting a paper by General Nature is really a great thing. He's now doing PhD in University of Buffalo. Therefore, the work what we do, several times I asked him, you can withdraw the paper from the journal, no issues, you can send somewhere. No, he says, publishing in a lifetime in Nature is my great achievement. Therefore, I do that. Therefore, this is the kind of thing what exactly we need to do. We need to wait, see, revise. 3 times the revision it came. We need to do this kind of a thing. We really struggled very hard, in fact, to bring this to quality of papers from this conference. I really appreciate to all the team what Seventhlin and Shirisha has with you before this thing. The entire report, they will read it. I need not mention the report. But I will tell you, I just really thank a couple of people in this audience. I really wish to thank Dr. Shirisha Indra, that I would like to request her to stand and let other people give a ovation to her. Please, Shirisha. She has really worked a lot, in fact, for this conference. Even night, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, she used to talk to me. Hours together for one of each paper, the discussion, etc. This kind of a commitment really needed for their TPC chair, and really I appreciate for a hard work. Maybe I might have told her several harsh words in doing my job. Nevertheless, I don't feel it because I am for the quality of the conference. Therefore, I never feel for that. And certainly, Professor Seventhlin, madam, she is a topmost hard worker. She did excellent work in this conference. Several times I also made a comments on her, madam, this is not the way, we have to do like that. She has obliged me. She has really done a great job. She has really worked hard in bringing this conference. Certainly, we should thank GITAM organizers, GITAM management for giving such a huge support for the people for support this thing. We will certainly come back to you year after year, month after month, in case you want more conference to that. And we are here to support you. And we, in case this is, I think, for last 1 decade, this is the first conference in GITAM of IEEE, because they are also a little less experienced in handling. Next time they will hand much better on that. Certainly the papers quality, no doubt, they're excellent. Even I certify that all the papers will go to explore, no doubt on that. Therefore, with these few words, I really thank the management, the organizers, who has given the opportunity to stand before you to say, but I still want to request most of the people, even today in US, what is happening is undergraduate students are doing research, not postgraduate. Therefore, we need to really look in that direction. We need to work in that direction. With these few words, I really thank the management for giving the opportunity. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the informative address.
I would like to take this opportunity to invite Professor Jayashankar E. Warrior, Pro Vice Chancellor Academics, GITAM deemed to be University, to address our gathering.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. First, I really would like to thank IEEE for actually helping us in conducting this conference. The other is, of course, it's really a great pleasure to welcome an alumnus back on campus. Thank you, sir, for coming. The chief guest today, Srinivasa Rao, needs no introduction. He has been here, he has visited us a couple of times already. And Bharat Garu, thank you for being here. My colleagues, Vijay, Seventlin, Shirisha, thank you for all the effort that's been put in. I'm really, the modern trends which you are working on will actually help both in terms of advancing knowledge and also in terms of actually having an impact on society. Vijay, Dean Vijay talked about the impact of the Solvay conference. The Solvay of Solvay conference, he was responsible for producing sodium hydroxide, and a byproduct of that was chlorine. So that's how Solvay actually made his money. So that had a big impact. It was one of those products which is ubiquitous, and that's how the entire chemical industry, because I'm a chemical engineer, so it came into being, and that is why he invested in all these conferences. Now, going back to the conferences, one of the other things you need to remember, one is that when somebody is presenting, it's actually, whether we like it or not, they have actually definitely put in a few hours of work, and you're listening to that person for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So you are actually listening to a condensed version of the work, and you can actually it's the fruit of the work, the fruit of the effort that's been put in. So it's very important that you actually focus on the fruit. So to my students, what I would say is that, focus on what's actually been delivered, ignore the outer part of it, because sometimes all of us do not have the best time when we present. So look at what the content is, because that content is actually very useful. I again thank the organizers and my faculty colleagues for organizing this conference. All the best. And the numbers are very large, and with very eminent speakers from all over the world. Once again, all the best to the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the profound speech. I'm sure that each and everyone present in this gracious occasion will find meaningful words Now, I would take the honor to call upon our Honorable President of GITAM, deemed to be University, Mr. M. Shri Bharat, to address our gathering.
Good morning, everyone. I don't know if this is flattery or if people really like me. They've named the conference after me. So I'll check after the event is over. So just sort of a hygiene check. My request to all students is when people are speaking on stage, I know that there is something that's itching for you to say to someone sitting next to you, but hold your silence, because that's respecting the speaker on the stage. So that's something that I take seriously, and I hope that you all do. So I'm not an expert on either of these subjects, so I will not speak about that, but I will speak about how I interact with these subjects and just some general thoughts. And this is not directed only at the students, but to faculty and guests and everyone else who's participating. So I was at a lecture. How many of you have heard of this university called Singularity University? 2 people. So this is a university that's in San Francisco. It was recently formed, and they're working at how technology is changing the world. So one of the professor, he came to Chennai, and he was telling us, and I may be misquoting him, but this is what I remember from the talk. If he said that the amount of knowledge that humanity has created or discovered from when humanity has been documented to the year 1900, let us say it is X, between 1900 to 2000, we doubled that knowledge. Between 2000 to 2005 or 6, we doubled that knowledge. Between 2006 and 2010, we doubled that knowledge. So every few years, the amount of knowledge that exists in the world or in the society is doubling. So in our lifetime, let's say we live 70 years, many of you here are around 20. And if you live until 80, let us say, with life expectancy to be good. So every 3 years, knowledge is doubling. So how much knowledge is going to be there by the time you die? Can anybody say what it is? It's just a math equation. Anyone who's venturing a guess? 60 years, 3 years, it doubles. What? Someone can raise their hand and say it. It's 2 to the power of 20, whatever the knowledge is today, multiplied by that. So can we comprehend that? Can we understand what that means? Is GITAM prepared to prepare you for that world? I don't think so. No, we are not, we ourselves are not prepared for that world. So why are these conferences important? It is to realize that the world is rapidly changing. And if we don't learn, if we don't keep in touch, then we become irrelevant. And this applies equally to all students, to all faculty, to all employees, everyone. So given that this is the background and this is the way the world is progressing, what should someone like us, an educator, do, and what should you as a student think? This is something that's very important. As an educator, we should have the humility to accept that we no longer have the ability or confidence to say that we know and we will teach you. We don't know. We don't know where the world is today. We don't know how fast it is going to change. So once we accept that harsh reality, we can do a better job. So the role of the teacher or the role of the educator today is no longer to sit in the classroom and to speak to you for 50 minutes or for 1 hour, telling you what they know, because they themselves don't know how the world has changed in the 60 minutes that they have been speaking to you. Not to say that they are dumb or that they are stupid, but it is that knowledge itself is progressing that fast. So the role of the educator now becomes more someone who helps you navigate, someone who curates learning experiences for you, and someone who creates a very interactive environment inside the classroom. Because each one of you sitting over here can be the teacher in that classroom. Can you comprehend that? Is it possible? Because the teacher may know more than many of the students sitting in the classroom. But with certainty, I can tell you, but the teacher will not know more than all of the students sitting in the classroom about all of the topics that are being taught. There will always be one student in the classroom who will know something about a subject more than a faculty member does. So given this, my request to the faculty and to the students is that bring that knowledge to the front and raise those questions, speak about it. And I think that's when the discussion can progress. The other challenge that this is going to solve if our classroom becomes like that is because the reason many of you talk even when a seminar like this is happening is because you're getting bored. I'm sure all of you are bored inside the classroom also. I have been in your place not very long ago. If you sit in this conference for 6 hours or how many hours, how long is the conference, ma'am, today? Yeah, so 8 hours. So if you sit in the conference for 8 hours, I'm sure it's going to be boring. Especially with this, all of us have got attention deficit, ADHD, right? Some form of it. How many of you accept that you have attention deficit? Raise hands, be honest. Yeah? Okay. This is the problem. And this is not something that only you are suffering from. I suffer from it also. So if I sit in the audience and somebody like me is boring you, quickly I will switch off. Very quickly, within 5 minutes. But my attitude in life, something that has helped me, is that I will not give up. I will not get up and leave the room. Once I have committed that I will sit in the conference for 8 hours, I will sit there. I will struggle to be awake. Sometimes I will pinch myself. Sometimes I'll put candy in my pocket so that I can chew on candy so that I won't fall asleep. There are many different techniques. Maybe you may also be using them. But the idea is that if you try, in the vast information that is going to be thrown at you over these 8 hours, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 ideas will stick. And those 1 or 2 or 3 ideas may change the way you approach learning and may change the way you do work. It has happened to me personally. And that's what I think is going to be very helpful to you all in any such conference. In regards to papers that people before me have spoken about, what is a paper? Many of you may be thinking. How many of you know what a paper is, students? Raise your hands. You don't know? All of you are nodding your heads earlier when people said that paper cut and you all even clapped. See, the thing is, for any faculty member, any researcher in their area of work or area of study, a paper is basically them exploring any idea, any concept in a new way, or exploring how this idea interacts with some other idea to bring some new form of knowledge into society. And the more valuable that paper is in terms of the research that they do, the more likely that a very high quality journal will accept that paper. Some papers takes months and years for people to do research and to come up with that idea or that concept. Nature, which was mentioned earlier, is one such journal that many faculty members in their lifetime would love to publish in. So these papers are important because you are creating new forms of knowledge and you're putting it in that journal so that tomorrow, if somebody has some problem that they want to solve, they don't have to reinvent the wheel. They can go to these journals and see if somebody else has already done research in this area. Can I use that research to help solve my problem? So this is what many faculty members, and as Professor Vijay Shekhar mentioned, if you have aspirations to go study computer science or ECE in a good university for masters or for PhD, this is something that they will expect or ask of each of you. So think about it seriously, because otherwise college can seem like just fun and joy outside of the classroom, and classroom is just a way, you will find innovative ways of passing away hours and hours sitting inside the classroom. It'll be a waste of your life if you do that. And this is a great opportunity to hopefully ignite some new form of thought, because both ECE and computer science are today in a large way all pervasive. They intersect and they are interventions in every area of knowledge, right? Communication, technology is disrupting everything that we do. So being students of those disciplines, you shouldn't be limited to only computer science or only to ECE. You should see how it interacts with all fields around you. So that, I think, is what is going to differentiate you as an individual, because we have about close to 1,000 people here in the hall, and overall in computer science in this campus alone, I think we may have 3,000-4,000 students. So do you want to be like a goat, which just follows the goat in front of you and aspires for a job sitting in office with AC, computer in front of you, and live your life without thinking what you're doing? Or do you want to walk on the path that's less taken and distinguish yourself? So these are opportunities and options you have today in front of you. Platforms are available. We have Coursera, we have other forms of learning that are available in GITAM. Now the onus is on you, how you are going to make use of it. You can be a person who doesn't even get a job, or you can be a person who gets a services job that will ask you to work like a goat. Most of these companies, I don't know if Accenture does that, but TCS or Infosys, they don't give you very high-end level of work. It's almost like manual labor in front of the computer. So these are things that you're not realizing. You will, once many of your seniors, once they go into the company, after 2 years, they come out and they say that we don't enjoy this kind of work. So before you get to that place, you have a lot of opportunity for you to think. So use these opportunities to think and define who you are, where you want to go. And we will be very happy to see the 1,000 people here not being goats, but people who are unique and who will chart unique paths for yourself and achieve success. And then come back to us like J.S. Rao Garu here, who is an alumni of 85 to 89 and is now heading a $40-50 billion part of business for Accenture, which is tremendous. And I'm very thankful to have J.S. Rao Garu here and Srinivasa Rao Garu here to accept our invitation and be a part of this event. So I won't preach anymore. I'll stop here. It is good seeing you all and wish you all the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful words. The information provided will always be beneficial to our endeavors.
Now, I would request Shreya to come onto the dais to introduce our guest of honor, Mr. G.S. Rao, Managing Director of Accenture Technology Solutions.
Sriji Srinivasa Rao is the Managing Director of Accenture, which is the leading Europe-wide technology solutions. In this cross-industry role, he is responsible for profitable growth of over 12 billion Accenture Technology Europe business through proactive organization, account mining, designing large technology transformation deals, and structuring and solution development for enterprise-wide transformative outsourcing opportunities. Sriji Srinivasa Rao holds bachelor degree in Electronics and Communications Engineering from GITAM, Andhra University, Visakhapatnam, and Masters in Computer Science from PSD College of Technology. Sriji Srinivasa Rao started his career as a scientist in India's prestigious Integrated Guided Missile Development Program and actively held research roles as a missile scientist in DRDO, India. Sriji Srinivasa Rao spent over 11 years working with leading Tier 1 telco clients, BSNL, Airtel in India in various leadership positions in mobile, fixed line, broadband access, transport network, planning, rollout, IT, OSS, BSS systems. In his last roles at BSNL Airtel, he served as a CIO for BSNL Bangalore Telecom IT systems and as a head technology for Airtel Kolkata. He led the telecom and media client technology delivery in Tech Mahindra in APAC for over 1.5 years. In this role, he managed a large P&L and distributed solution delivery team across India, APAC for telecom clients. Sriji Srinivasa Rao was the European Technology Solutions Lead for CNT, which includes clients in telecom, media, high-tech, software and platform, aerospace and defense industries. He has led the team through a 5-year period of strong double-digit growth, during which Accenture won a number of very large and strategic deals, strengthening Accenture's technology leadership positions in the CMT industries. Sriji Srinivasa Rao is the recipient of prestigious Accenture Leadership Awards and holds certification in leadership strategy and growth from Wharton University and prestigious Accenture Cloud Advisor from Carnegie Mellon University. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. Your presence is an honor. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Shreya. I request Honorable President of GITAM, Shri M. Shri Bharat, to felicitate our distinguished guest of honor, and I request all the dignitaries on the dais to please join them.
Thank you, honorable dignitaries, for the felicitation. Now, we request Mr. G. Srinivasa Rao to address the gathering.
President Mr. Bharat Garu, Dr. Lakshminarayan Garu, and Dr. Srinivasa Rao Garu, Director NSTL, and all the dignitaries are in the dais. It is indeed a great privilege for me to be part of today's workshop. at the conference. And you all know, I think you already mentioned, I'm an alumni of this college. I studied in 1985 to 89 in this very campus. I lived in the hostel for 4 years. And many of my friends are professors here. Dr. Jayashree is my classmate, actually, and we all worked together, studied together completely. And coming to GITAM is always like a homecoming to me, actually. I know I've come here a couple of occasions on pre-placement talks. You know, Accenture hires big number of people from GITAM. I mean, on an average, we are hiring close to 300 to 400 students every year. I would say, actually, I think GITAM is one of the elite colleges that we are going, actually. And we hire from many colleges in India, close to 60 to 70 colleges, we hire people. And I would always count, actually, the GITAM students are one of the best students contributing to the business growth of Accenture. I was going through the agenda of the conference, BHARAT-22. And indeed, it's a very, very good set of topics that you have taken, actually, because being part of Accenture technology is very close to my heart. And we live and breathe technology day in and day out, actually, with all our clients globally. And I was very impressed with the topics from 5G labs to Twitter reviews, actually, how you do it, or a disease prevention, actually, how you predict it. I think the technology is disrupting all of us, right? And what we tell our clients also is, if you are not adopting technology in your business, and you will be out of business in no time, actually. Incidentally, in Accenture, we have done a survey of 8,000 clients globally. And the idea of the survey was how they are adapting the technologies, particularly the new technologies, what you heard from the team actually just now, how they are adapting these technologies and what is the impact on their business, actually. Because at the end of the day, if the business is growing, actually, and you will find actually the new technologies have a greater adoption, actually. And we classified all these 8,000 clients into multiple industries. Actually. In each industry, we looked at who are leaders and who are laggards, actually. And what we have seen is the leaders in that particular industry who are adopting all these new adaptive technologies, they are growing at least 2 times faster than the laggards, actually, completely. And that was the situation pre-COVID. And now COVID, what has happened is the pandemic has really accelerated the whole adoption of the technologies. You have seen how the supply chains are getting disrupted, how lockdowns are forcing the stores to be closed, how digital channels have become completely the new norm, actually completely coming in. Suddenly you find actually the difference between leaders and laggards has gone 5 times. So leaders who are adapting all these new technologies, what you are discussing today and tomorrow, they are all becoming actually the new norm, actually, and all the clients are adapting it. And during this survey, one thing which is also interesting coming is all these clients are doing 3 important things. Actually. One is all the new technologies they are adopting actually faster than actually their peers and their followers, actually. Second is they're also changing their ways of working. Actually. They are not doing the same old way of doing things actually in the new world completely. And the third is the talent part. I think Bharat also mentioned very clearly, you cannot be the talent actually you're looking what you need actually 4 years now or 4 years back. Actually. Talent is changing every day. And I think we'll also talk about some of the changes that we are seeing in the talent, actually, particularly in the computer science side and IT side, actually, what I really see there. Technology side, actually, if I look at technology side, what is really accelerating after the COVID is the clients are spending, they suddenly realize lockdown has forced them to close their businesses. Suddenly they really feel if they don't invest in the technology, they are out of business. And suddenly you find a lot of clients are putting so much of money in technology transformations. It's not only that, actually, I still remember when I out of GITAM, actually, I joined engineering services and I was in Indian telecom service. I was asked to install a microwave systems from Chennai to Vizag, actually, and I was trying to climb one of the microwave tower, actually, to install the antenna on the top of that. And when you climb on top, actually, we couldn't realize actually how do you install. And somebody gave me a manual, actually, you're trying to figure it out, actually, and completely. And you're going up and down the tower, actually, 2-3 times. Then I realized, actually, this is not our cup of tea. But recently I was looking at, actually, we were supporting one of the client in Europe. And the client is now saying the same thing. Though you go on top of the tower, you have an augmented reality and virtual reality headset, and you have a video recording available to the person who is sitting on the top of the tower, and you have a subject matter expert supporting to you from remotely. He doesn't have to go anywhere, actually. He just sits there, actually, and completes the task and coming back. I've seen how the technology is changing the way it is coming in. I went to the one of the optician for getting an eye checkup. And then I couldn't get the time actually, and I was busy with my office calls. Then I said, why don't I go to Lenskart and really try it? And Lenskart, I just did a photograph of mine actually, and then they have thousands of sets actually, and he's putting a VR on top of my picture and telling me this picture is good actually, and you just place an order. 2 days, you're getting specs to your home. See, technology is disrupting everywhere. I think if you don't adapt to the technology, you will get outdated in no time actually. Right? And now what you are talking about, data analytics, cloud and data science, security, these are all today's technologies. Are they going to be the technologies 4 years from the now? I think the answer is changing rapidly. For example, Accenture, we have launched what is called technology vision. Now we tell that actually metaverse is going to be your future. Every business will be a metaverse business actually. Your business is going to be more on sustainability side. How do you develop green software practices? How do you take care of the planet in addition to the profits actually coming in? So technologies are changing rapidly, and you can't really assume that today I'm learning actually and I can live forever and forget it actually completely. So talent is the last dimension. A lot of students keep coming to me actually and ask me which technology I should focus actually, so that my life is set actually and I'll forget it actually beyond this point. I tell them actually that today, if you're a security expert or a data analytics expert or a data scientist actually, I'll tell you 2 years down the line, you have to change yourself. Right? So what is really required for us is actually curiosity to learn, right? You need to have a curiosity to learn, and constantly the lifelong learning is an important one. I've realized in Accenture, every day is a new learning actually, and every client you meet is a new opportunity for us. And how adaptable are you? How do you continue on lifelong learning? And how do you really build actually your skills on a continuous basis and constantly reinvent yourself? In fact, one of their asks actually to most of my leaders, I tell them is, if you make yourself redundant in 2 years, you have done your job actually, because you have to really look at how do I replace myself actually with completely with the new roles coming in actually completely. So the automation is really going everywhere. But I'm really impressed with the kind of topics what your team has put together. I hope really you'll enjoy it actually. And coming to GITAM is always a pleasure for me, and I really look forward for future opportunities. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir, for your wise thoughts. Your advice and suggestions has given us a boost in confidence.
Now, I would request Niharika to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Y. Srinivasa Rao, outstanding scientist and director of NSTL Visakhapatnam.
Dr. Y. Srinivasa Rao, outstanding scientist, took over as director, Naval Science and Technological Laboratory on 31st May 2021. A graduate with distinction in mechanical engineering from JNTU, Hyderabad, he obtained his PhD in mechanical engineering from Osmania University. Dr. Y. Srinivasa Rao started his professional career at BAIL, Ramachandrapuram, Hyderabad, as an expert in the areas of manufacturing of steam turbines, centrifugal compressors, and gas turbines. He was a member of the core team for the transfer of technology related to gas turbines and was responsible for the development of gas turbine manufacturing facilities in BAIL and associated industries. Later, he joined DRDO Hyderabad in 2000 and worked with various capacities in missile defense program. Over a span of 21 years, he worked on various technologies like communication systems, missile systems, and various warheads in addition to the functions of planning, contracts, and material management. As a core member, he was associated with conceptualizing the overall configuration of missile defense systems. He was also instrumental in the development, realization, and inductions conventional warheads for Prithvi missile systems. He also led the team in design, conceptualization, and building of naval research vessel. As a project director for EXO interceptor missile systems, he led a team in configuration, development, and realization of the state-of-art hit-to-kill interceptor missile systems capable of intercepting incoming missiles in EXO's region. As a part of Mission Shakti, he played a key role as a project director for the development and realization of interceptor vehicle in a very short time, overcoming many challenges, meticulously interfacing with various technical teams. He, along with his team members, carried out the design of subsystems, realization, qualification testing, integration, and checkout. The entire activity culminated into a successful mission on 27th March 2019. Dr. Y. Srinivasa Rao, recipient of Sir Mokshagundam Vishveshwaraya Award as Eminent Engineer from Institution of Engineers, India, Telangana State Center. He is also the recipient of number of DRDO awards that include Agni Award for Excellence in Self-Reliance 2005, DRDO Award for Path-Breaking Research or Outstanding Technology Development in 2006. He was also awarded the Solar Shakti Award 2019 for successful leadership. Distinguished Fellow in 2019 and SAE India Role of Honor Foundation Award for the year 2019-2020. Dr. Y. Srinivasa Rao is the first scientist to lead the contingent command for ASAT Shakti mission at the Republic Day Parade on 26 January 2020. We are very blessed to have such an outstanding scientist like you with us today, sir. Looking forward to hear from you.
Thank you, Niharika. Now I request Honorable President of GITAM, Shri M. Shri Bharat, to felicitate our distinguished chief guest, and I request all the dignitaries on the dais to please join him and present the souvenir.
Thank you, honorable dignitaries, for the felicitation.
Now I request Honorable Chief Guest to release the conference proceedings, and I also request other honorable dignitaries to please join him.
Now we request our chief guest to address the gathering.
Respected G. Srinivasa Rao garu, Managing Director, Accenture Technology Solutions, and a distinguished alumni of GITAM University. Respected, very popular Sri Bharat garu, Honorable President, GITAM University. Honorable President అన్నానండి, నాకు ఇక్కడ రాసిచ్చింది నేను చదివాను. Respected Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Jaishankar E. Warrior, Professor Director of the Chairman of this conference, and heading the IEEE, sir, me peru naku ikkada Lakshmi Narayana garu, okay, Lakshmi Narayana garu, and chala strict ga unnaru basically. Ante tough taskmaster, ma boss laga unnaru. Madam Seventlin and other members, Sirisha garu, distinguished faculty members here, eminent faculty, because GITAM produced so many alumni. You are all the contributors of that great alumni which GITAM has produced. So you are definitely an eminent faculty of this country. Being an international conference, there are many participants from the industry. Even I've seen some of my own DRDO scientists also there in the crowd. Were given, I think they would have published some papers. Budding students who are going to be the future and who will be contributing to this nation, young nation, a growing nation. And with what polarizations of the world is happening today, India is emerging as the leading nation, and a lot of responsibilities have come, as already Mr. Bharat has pointed out. Technology is changing in an exponential, and not even exponential, it is a non-linear form growth. Actually, even if I put a stochastic model for that growth, I may not be able to predict it. And in that cause test, I think people are talking means I'm not able to connect with you. In between, if people are talking, because a lot of sound is coming, I'm not able to connect with you. Please stop me if I'm not able to connect with you. And this stochastic model, if we are to achieve, the large amount is coming from the Indians. Either we are settled here, abroad, because last 2 years back, I did an international conference where about 40 countries participated. We had large number of people from each and every country, but in every country, we also had Indians coming. It was very, very top level conference that both Dr. Saraswat and Sachi Reddy were the co-chairs of the conference. That level of conference, when we are seeing many, many technologies coming from the Indians, the same team going and doing it. That's how the strength of this country is growing enormously and very fast. Coming to the IEEE conferences, even in Hyderabad, we had been part of many IEEE conferences. Excellent papers come. In fact, in many of our research applications, if you're in a research application, every day we have a problem. And when we have a problem, we go back to journal papers to look at it. Somebody would have published somewhere in the world a solution or a direction to that problem. Once we have to do a problem, then we experiment, we work out a theoretical analysis for it, and then try to solve that problem, because we are all in a time-bound manner, we have to produce results. And DRDO is tasked to do what it can do first time. The government mandate is very clear. What is not done till today, DRDO has to do it. So when we do a first time, there will be problems. And these problems, we find many of times solutions coming from the journal papers. This is what, there was a point raised by one of the speakers here. What is paper? This is the paper. And IEEE papers have got a high value in that. We may call it as an impact factor or a factor where we refer them. And sometimes we derive something from it. Sometimes we take directly from them. Or sometimes we have a direction to research upon from them. And many times we call the original publisher paper for also for reviewing our system. This is how the system and they work. Coming to the ecosystems that Indian universities are giving today, we are coming up, the government of India is coming up with a major revamp of the system where the Indian universities are going to play a major role in the R&D activities of this country. Gone are the days when the professors will be only the faculties in these colleges or teaching something. They are also part of the complete research ecosystem of this country. Each campus will have their own incubation centers. We R&D organizations of this country, whether it's a DRDO, ISRO, or any other organization of this country, we are going to support you. We are going to work with you closely. And it will be an industry, academia, and R&D organizations together is going to produce the next generation of systems, whether it's applicable to our defense applications or whether it's going to apply for any of the societal requirements that we have. And in this, students are going to play a major role. Recently, IITs have started even at the first year level, the idea generations. The concept, for concept, you don't need to have the large intelligence of physics or chemistry or mathematics or the detailed models. Conceptualization is a thinking that that mind can have. And from that conceptualization, converting into reality requires the physics to be applied for it. And that's where we are working for it. So we don't mind even a first year engineering student coming up with an idea because their minds are fresh. They don't have hindrances. If your child, he can speak anything. A small child can speak anything, we accept it. Similarly, a youngster can speak anything, can think anything. And this is the concept with which government is coming. The second major impetus which we are giving now is on the micro, small and medium enterprises and the startups. Government has created a TDF fund where we are funding industry up to 10 crores. They have to come up with their ideas. It should be useful for example, if it is for the defense technology development firm, we are looking at whether that application which they develop will be useful for us in any manner together. And if it is applicable to us, we are supporting that. And they are given an opportunity to experiment, and they are not asked questions why you have failed. But the intent has to be there. It cannot be just like that given. There is definitely a process it has to go through, but we are supporting it. And this is going to be a major thing which the youngsters have to look at it. The third point is large amount of defense. We are now looking at private sector rather than just the old BDL or Midani or ordnance factories. In fact, you have seen the recent government policies. The ordnance factory has now not in the government control, they got into public sector. So we are looking at private sectors. Youngsters have got a huge opportunity because if you see today, many technologies, even if you're talking about 4G, 5G or whatever communication technologies or any other technology has first evolved in the defense applications. And from there it has been transferred. So we are there to support you when you are coming up with as an industry partner to us. We no longer calling anybody as a vendor. We are calling everybody as an industry partner. This is the sea change the government has made. And as part of Atmanirbhar Bharat and relevance to this conference, it's a timely conference, I would say, because we are now coming up with a major semiconductor policy where government is trying to invest about 76,000 crores on the semiconductor fabrication, that the ecosystem they want to develop here. So if you are talking about that in the terms of billions of dollars, $710 billion industry that is going to come, and it is not that we are just having a fab or we are like making a small Taiwan or China. But once that ecosystem of the fab happens, then the development pace, what Bharat Garu has said in 3 years or 2 or 4 years time, will change dramatically. I don't know, it is like a half-life period of nuclear energy, how it dissipates is going to be a transformational changes which is going to happen once this semiconductor coupled with our software, and we are going to convert. Today, if you say India's exports are about $400 billion, most of it are on the software services, but these are going to convert it in engineering applications. The strength and economy of this country is going to change. They're no longer there will be poor people in this country. The government schemes will end. That's the stage it will come, and things will come to the rural sector. It's not going to be a urban bone. If you look at our Hyderabad today, we have a ring road. We had only inner ring road. We got an outer ring road now. Then around that, that's a 100-kilometer road, 170 or whatever it is, more than that. And around that, the entire ecosystem built. And whoever is, I don't want to name people, but people know who has thought process of it has come, and it has come. And now there's one more external road is coming up. Another external ring road, which a radial diameter of about 100 meters, 100 kilometers from this. And we got another ecosystem building it up. It is going to change. And this is going to happen that means the bridge between the rural and the cities are going to disappear. And the technologies are going to come from every nook or corner of the country. And imagine 150 billion people producing technology, and you youngsters being part of that technology growth and this country, what will happen? We have got because I'm director in STL, I also have to speak something on the technology front. My friend has said that he has climbed the tower, but going underwater even 10 meters is difficult. And imagine a diver at 30 meters has to fix a system. I don't have a communication. I cannot use your 3D artificial intelligence because today the underwater communication has really have to grow a lot. I can communicate to moon today. I can send my communication through moon, through whatever network of satellites, but a diver going 30 meters, I cannot speak to him. But then a diver goes and fixes many things today. That is what NSTL does. NSTL goes as deep as 600 meters. National Institute of Ocean Technology goes as deep as 6,000 meters. We harness the minerals, we harness the energy. See the amount of potential of work available in that area, both in the technology point of view and the challenges point of view, I recommend you people to come to us, look at us, what we are doing. We are open with you as far as sharing of technology, sharing of knowledge, and working with you all. I don't want to take much time because you have to go through the next, as Mr. Bharat has said, if I speak long, people may not be receiving me more. But then he also given very, very practical problems to explain you, and simple way he has told you by numbers. What we call is a quantitative explanations in the experimental analysis. I want to convert what his speech is into an experimental domain. What we do a theory, but when we experiment, we do with numbers. And we never get on the first time correct. So we have to converge. A simple numerical integration type of solutions happens. And that's how the papers get generated time and again. The first paper may not give me the accurate position, but a repeat papers on that, repeat study on that will come. I request students to please look at these areas, come out with newer and newer solutions on these areas, and with quantitative terms. And wherever you need some experimental support, universities are available, DRDO and many research organizations are available. You can approach us, but try to conduct experiments, and whatever is required for support for that, we are there with you. This is all I wanted to tell. I hope all the best for an international conference. I know I've been part of many conferences. Conducting a conference is not easy. Getting papers is not easy. Getting papers may be easy, but getting quality papers is not easy. But I was told we have got an excellent papers, and it requires lots and lots of effort by the team which has worked at. Congratulations to your team, man, and congratulations to see such a huge crowd here, which normally doesn't happen in the inaugural speeches. Thank you all. Thank you one and all. Best wishes to GITAM.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your informative speech.
Now I request Professor Vijayshekhar Chellaboyina, Dean of Engineering, GITAM, to present a memento to our Honorable President of GITAM, Sri M. Sri Bharat. Thank you, sir.
I request our Honorable President, Shri M. Sri Bharat, to present a memento to Dr. S. Lakshmi Narayana, General Chair, BHARAT-22. Thank you, sir.
One last one. I request Professor Beatrice Seventlin J, Organizing Chair, Head of the Department, EEC, to present a memento to Professor Vijayshekhar Chellaboyina, Dean of Engineering, GITAM. Thank you, ma'am. Now we would like to call upon Professor R. Sirisha, Head of the Department of Computer Science, GITAM, to deliver closing remarks and formal vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Respected dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, invitees, participants, and dear students. I deem it an honor to deliver the formal vote of thanks for this wonderful event. On behalf of the organizing committee of the two-day international conference, BHARAT-22, I would like to extend our gratitude to all who have extended their support to make this event a reality. At the outset, I would like to express my profound gratitude to the founder president, GITAM, late Dr. MVVS Murthy Garu, whose vision was to witness GITAM as a global leader in education. My deep sense of gratitude goes to our Honorable President GITAM, Shri M. Sri Bharat Garu, for his exceptional leadership and guidance. Sir, you are our source of motivation and energy. We will definitely try and live up to your expectations. I humbly thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor K. Sivaramakrishna Garu, for his motivation and guidance. I would like to record our deep sense of gratitude to Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Academics, Professor Jaishankar Warrior, for his dynamic leadership and support. My sincere thanks to Professor D. Gunashekaran for his support. My heartfelt thanks go to Professor Vijay Shekhar Chelaboina, Dean Engineering and Technology, for being the backbone of this conference and for his constant support. I take this opportunity to express our heartfelt gratitude to the esteemed chief guest of today's function, Dr. Y. Srinivasa Rao Garu, Director, NSTL Visakhapatnam, for graciously accepting our invitation and sharing his valuable knowledge with us. We will carry home your knowledge, sir, about how DRDO is adding to the research repository, the role of Indian universities and research organizations in producing next-gen systems, the opportunities that lie for the students and youngsters. Our heartfelt thanks go to Sri G.S. Rao Garu, Managing Director, Accenture Technology Solutions, Hyderabad, and guest of honor of today's event, for accepting our invitation and sharing your insights with us. Your remarks on how adoption of technology in companies is catapulting them into development, how usage of AR, VR technologies and other allied technologies is disrupting lives will stay with us, sir. I would particularly like to thank Dr. S. Lakshmi Narayan Garu, Chair IEEE Vizag Bay Section, for his constant support and guidance. I also thank the officials of IEEE Vizag Bay Section for their support in organizing this conference. I'm highly indebted to the respected Vice Principal, Assistant Principals, GITAM School of Technology, Visakhapatnam, for their constant help. I am deeply obliged to Professor B. Seventlin, Organizing Chair, who has been the pillar of strength in driving the conference to its present shape from its inception. I'm very grateful to the Technical Program Committee Chair, Professor Srilata Indiradat, Organizing Secretary Sri Chisti, and all the members of the organizing committee who have played an active role in making this conference happen. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the distinguished keynote speakers, invited speakers, special session chairs, and reviewers for their valuable efforts. I thank the authors who have contributed their original research work to this conference. I have deep sense of gratitude to all the faculty, staff, and student volunteers who have worked day and night for their involvement and willingness in making this event happen. My gratitude go to the HODs of GITAM School of Technology. I thank the CATS team, hospitality team, the administration for providing the logistic support. I am grateful to the press and media, the PR office and CMO for providing extensive media coverage for this conference. I express our deep sense of gratitude to the sponsors who have supported the conference. I would like to express my gratitude to all the delegates and participants attending this conference and promise them an array of distinguished keynote lectures, invited talks, and due deliberation on the research trends in technology that will follow today and tomorrow. I am looking forward to the conference and wish it a resounding success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. I request everyone to stand up for the national anthem.
I would like to thank all the honorable dignitaries and delegates who blessed us with their presence and making this inaugural a grand success. Wishing all a wonderful today's event, and we wish all the very best and hope you will have a 2-day memorable event.
This is Charishma Yajala.
And this is Sai Sashikant Rokkam signing off.
I request all the dignitaries to join for the high tea in the Graces Hall.
After high tea, I request everyone to join for the keynote lecture by Dr. Chennupati Jagadish, Distinguished Professor, Australian National University, Australia, on the topic Semiconductor Nanostructures for Optoelectronics Applications. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? I can't hear you, and so can you hear me? Okay. No, I can't hear you. Let me see.
Hello, test on.
Sir,
Yes,
now
I can hear you now.
thank you, sir. Thank you. So we'll be starting in 5 minutes, sir.
Okay, sure. Thanks. Do you want me to leave the slides here or do I stop sharing?
Sir, you can
Rajesh?
stop sharing.
Rajesh?
We'll start after the introductions. Fine, madam.
Okay, sure.
Madam, it's working.
Yeah.
Fine.
Can we start?
Yeah, yeah. Let the gathering come.
I request everyone to please come and assemble over here. I request the students and the faculty to please come and assemble in the auditorium for the guest lecture by Professor C. Jagdish. Yeah. Welcome, sir. I'm Seventh-Lin, HOD EC department and one of the organizing chair. So happy that you have accepted our invitation to deliver the guest lecture today. We are really fortunate to have you. So the lecture will we'll just wait for 2 minutes till the students and the faculty gather over here. After that, we'll start your lecture, sir. Just a second, sir.
Good. Thank you very much.
Shall we? Rajesh, we'll start. From Australian National University, Australia, I now request Dinesh to please introduce her to the gathering.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am BVS Dinesh. Let me introduce the speaker for our keynote talk. Professor Chennupatti Jagadish, AC, received the BSc degree from Nagarjuna University, Guntur, India in 1977. The MS Tech degree from Andhra University, Valther, India in 1980. And the MPhil and PhD degrees from the University of Delhi, India in 1982 and 1986, respectively. He was a lecturer in physics and electronics at Sri Venkateswara College, University of Delhi during 1985 to 88, and worked at Queen's University, Kingston, Canada during 1988 to 90 as a postdoctoral research fellow. He moved to Australia in 1990 and established a major research program in the field of optoelectronics and nanotechnology. He is currently a distinguished professor and head of semiconductor optoelectronics and nanotechnology group in the Department of Electronic Materials Engineering, Research School of Physics, the Australian National University. He was the founding director of Australian National Fabrication Facility, ACNOD 2007 to March 2020, and convener of the Australian Nanotechnology Network. He holds honorary positions at IIT Hyderabad, National Taiwan University, University of Electronic Science and Technology of China, Chengdu, University of Tokyo, Anna University, Mangalore University, ICT Mumbai, Hefei University of Technology, Taiwan University of Technology, Nanjing University, and Oxford University. He has served as Vice President and Secretary Physical Sciences of the Australian Academy of Science during 2012 to 2016. He has served as president of Australian Materials Research Society 2016 to 2019 and president of Photonics Society 2018-2019. His research interest includes compound semiconductor optoelectronics, nanotechnology, photovoltaics, and neuroscience and neurotechnology. Professor Jagadish is the editor-in-chief of Applied Physics Reviews, editor of 2 book series, and serves on editorial boards of 19 other journals, include ACS Nano. He has published more than 1,000 research papers, 710 journal papers, holds 7 US patents, co-authored a book, co-edited 15 books and engineering academics, US, Australia, Europe, India, and 14 professional society, IEEE, MRS, AAPS, and so on. He received many awards, including IEEE Pioneer Award in Nanotechnology, IEEE Photonics Society Engineering Achievement Award, OSCE Nick Holniak Award, IUMRS Somya Award, UNESCO Medal of his contributions to the development of nanoscience and nanotechnologies, and Lyle Medal from Australian Academy of Science for his contributions to physics. He has received Australia's highest civilian honor, AC, Companion of the Order of Australia, for his contributions to physics and engineering, in particular nanotechnology. He has been elected as the next president of the Australian Academy of Science. It is my privilege to invite Professor Chennupatti Jagadish to deliver a keynote address on semiconductor nanostructures for optoelectronics applications. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that kind introduction, Ganesh. And I want to thank the organizers for inviting me to participate in this conference and then share some of our current research in the field of semiconductor nanotechnology. See if I could move this one to somewhere else. So it's been mentioned that I have honored appointments in various parts of the world, and I want to thank my colleagues for inviting me to be associated with their institutions. Before proceeding further, I would like to acknowledge my collaborators, and it's really a collective effort between my group at the Australian National University and many groups in Australia, US, UK, China, Sweden, Italy, Russia, and Switzerland. The beauty of science is that there are no national boundaries. We can all work together. And so really, I've enjoyed working with my colleagues, and I want to thank them for their contributions to our joint research, and also many students and postdocs, those who have contributed to our research as well. This is my group at the Australian National University, and at any time, 10 to 12 nationalities, including many from India, and bright young people. It's a real pleasure for me to work with them. And I also want to acknowledge my academic colleagues, those who have contributed to this work as well, and leading these various aspects of our research program. And I also thank our funding agencies for their support for our research. Here is an overview of my talk, and I'll talk about why we're interested in nanostructures and nanowires, and then I'll talk about a wide variety of devices which we are making out of these structures, and I'll draw some conclusions. Before proceeding further, I would like to acknowledge many colleagues, those who are working in this field in various parts of the world and enriching our field. And then in the field of science, we always really learn from others' contributions, and we build the research on top of that. So that's why it's important for us to acknowledge our colleagues, those who are contributing to our disciplines, which I want to thank them. Let me, before proceeding for nanostructures, let's really talk about technological revolutions and transforming the society. The first industrial revolution started with steam power led to mechanization. Second industrial revolution started with mass production. Third industrial revolution started with computer power led to automation. In the fourth industrial revolution, people are predicting that the digital and biological worlds will come together, and the light and is based sensing and interfacing is going to play an important role, really bringing the humans and machines together. More than 80% of our information is obtained by light. And currently, light-based technologies are about 1 trillion Australian dollars, and people are predicting that by 2030, this will be doubling or so. That means there's a lot of opportunity for all of us to be able to contribute to this particular field, for example. The World Economic Forum in 2018 has identified some of the needs of the future, and they are talking about holographic displays. And in the future, you will end up having your holograms coming out of your phone so that you can interact with your family and friends and much more, interactively, and also wearable optical sensors, which are really allow you to be able to wear these ones and be able to monitor your health, for example, and like navigation and communications, where for autonomous vehicles, LiDAR, for example, and then also 3D vision and gesture recognition, and enhanced machine vision and augmented reality. And all these technologies require smart miniaturized optical systems, and as part of our center of excellence, and we are really using nanostructures to generate light, manipulate light, and then detect light. And this is new center of excellence, which has been started, Australian Research Council Center of TMOS. And we are working, and then in this particular center has been led by my colleague, Professor Raghav Neshev, and about 5 universities are involved with about 15 CIs also. It's a really an exciting opportunity for us to be able to develop next generation optical technologies. So now let me come to optoelectronics. What is optoelectronics? Optoelectronics is where you're really using the converting electricity into light, for example, light emitting diodes and lasers, and our conversion of the light into electricity in the case of solar cells or photodetectors, for example. And as most of you know that about electronics, and which is mostly made out of silicon. And silicon is a workhorse for the nanoelectronics or microelectronics industry. But unfortunately, silicon is not a very good light emitter because it's an indirect bandgap semiconductor. So you need to have direct bandgap semiconductors. Most of the 3-phase semiconductors are. And then we really make use of this gallium arsenide, indium phosphide, gallium antimonide, indium nitride, gallium nitride, aluminum nitride, combinations of these materials. These materials have got different band gaps. That means they're able to emit different colors of light. By matching and mixing these materials, we'll be able to create any colors of light which are of interest, either to generation or detection, for example. And in fact, the developments in the nitride technology led to the blue LED development, which led to 3 primary colors leading to white LEDs. And then now we're able to use these white LED lights, for light bulbs, for example, which consume less energy, and also you'll be able to use them for long periods of time. And also same materials which are making LEDs, you can also make use of them for making lasers, for communications, to laser printing and CD, DVD players, to machining and the medical surgery and eye surgery and various things as well. And because of the development of this LED technology, we've got a solid state lighting and also large area displays, including LED-based TVs and other things as well. Today, I'm able to talk to you because of the fact that electrical signals due to internet. Internet means optical fiber communications, and where we end up using converting electrical signals into optical signals by using lasers. We modulate them and then send to optical fiber, and then we convert them back into electricity, for example. So in this case, really, that's why, because of the large bandwidth of in this case, we're using lasers and photodetectors operating at 1.3, 1.5 microns. This is the wavelength where the optical absorption and the dispersion is the lowest. And mostly we end up using indium gallium arsenide material, phosphide material system, for example. So we also are able to make use of these materials to be able to make infrared detectors, which are useful for biomedical imaging applications or night vision applications, and including defense applications, and also in manufacturing, where you're able to detect where the heat is generated in a computer chip while you're operating it, for example. Also, we're able to make highly efficient solar cells, and now we are exceeding 47% or so. And these are multi-junction solar cells, which are developed for satellite applications. Now people are also exploring for these concentrated photovoltaic systems, for example. And so essentially we make use of these materials in order to be able to make all these optoelectronic devices. So nanowires. And nanowires are seen as building blocks for the next generation electronics and photonics. One of the unique things with the nanowires is the lattice mismatches are no longer an issue, because the lattice constant differences between the substrate and the material is not an issue because of this nanoscale nature of these ones and 3-dimensional architecture. And lattice constant is a unit cell of the crystal which repeats itself in all 3 dimensions. You can also make axial heterostructures. This green material is different than the red material, and also make p-n junctions. And you can create a core cell nanowires or radial heterostructures. And then also you can create a branch nanowires, for example. Here are some of the examples from my own laboratory where we have shown the gallium antimonide can be grown on top of gallium arsenide, indium arsenide on top of gallium arsenide branches. Here, for example, they could be used for cantilevers. Also, you can create nano trees for investing in energy harvesting, for example, for splitting of water to generate hydrogen, or nano membranes, for example, where you can go from nanowires to nanomembranes, and which I will come back to. Already there are many reports in the literature about various optoelectronic devices or photonic devices demonstrated based on nanowires. And then also recently people are using these nanowires for making transistors, particularly by IBM Zurich recently demonstrated indium gallium arsenide nanowire transistors on silicon. That means instead of having transistors in the horizontal direction, you can be able to really create them in the vertical direction. If the nanowires are so much of importance, how do we make them? There are two main techniques which we use. And one is called a metal organic chemical vapor deposition, or otherwise Walker wave epitaxy. In this MOCVD, because it's a scalable process and it's industrially compatible process, and then we take the metal catalyzed nanoparticles. For example, we put some gold nanoparticles on top of gallium arsenide, and typically gold has got a very high melting temperature, more than 1000 degrees Celsius. But once if it reacts with the gallium or aluminum or indium, and then its melting temperature comes down to as small as 350 degrees Celsius of this alloy. Then introduce the gases needed for the growth of gallium arsenide, trimethyl gallium and arsine. These gases get incorporated in this liquid alloy, it gets supersaturated, crystals start precipitating up. And this is the work of my former student, Dr. Hannah Joyce, who's now an associate professor at Cambridge University, where she was able to demonstrate these excellent nanowires. And particularly, you can see the gold nanoparticle sitting on the top, and the nanowire is here. They are atomically perfect nanowires, and she optimized in order to be able to get these ones. And we made the nanowires as small as 10 nanometers, as big as 300 nanometers. And also, in the case of other alternative technique, you don't want to use metal sometimes, and you end up using selective epitaxy. In this case, you deposit some silicon dioxide, deposit some photoresist, do electron beam lithography to create patterns of holes, and you transfer those holes to etching process. Then you put this one MOCVD reactor, and I'm giving an example of indium phosphide. We introduce the gases of trimethyl indium and phosphine, and these gases dissociate at these temperatures, and you can make these beautiful indium phosphide nanowires, for example. So this particular work has been done by my former student, Dr. Chian Gao, who is now the research engineer in Blue Glass in Sydney, for example. You can see you can create ordered patterns of these nanowires. I can be able to make really beautiful nanowires, for example. We've gone and taken these nanowires and excited with the laser pulse to generate electron hole pairs, and you look at the light emission efficiency. The red curve is for the nanowires, and the blue curve is for epitaxial layers. And these are very much comparable with each other, for example, indicating despite large surface area of these nanowires, they do not create any defect states within the band gap of the semiconductor. And now we ask ourselves, instead of opening a hole, what will happen if you open a slot or a ring? This is the work of my former student, Dr. Nain Wong, who is now a postdoc in our group, where again he take an indium phosphide, deposit some silicon dioxide, some photoresist, and do patterning instead of opening holes, and he creates these slots or rings, for example. He optimizes various growth conditions, which I will not have time to go into the details. So you can see that when you open this slot along this particular crystallographic orientation, and then you introduce the gases needed for the growth of indium phosphide at high temperatures, you can see you can create these beautiful nanomembranes which are standing vertically with these sidewall facets, so indicated here. But if you open the slot along another crystallographic orientation, and again you end up creating these nanomembranes, but these are a bit thicker than those ones, but you end up having a different sidewall facet here, this particular one which I've shown here, for example. But if you open the slots in between these two, you end up creating these nice, these diamond-like structures with these alternating facets also. So now you can see that instead of using just nanowires, and you can make nanomembranes and nanodiamonds, and you can make use of all wide variety of structures, for example. Then you go and look at the ring, what will happen? And you can see that you can make these beautiful ring-like structures, which have been optimized quite extensively by Nain Wong, for example. If you keep on growing further, the gap in the ring will get filled up, and you create a membrane, and you keep on growing up, and finally it finishes off with these nice hexagonally faceted structures, because crystals always likes to be finishing off in these low energy facets, for example. We're using these things for making ring resonator lasers and other things, and nanomembrane lasers and other things, which I will come back to. So we've taken these nanomembranes, nanodiamonds, and nanorings, and we excited them with the electron beam to create electron hole pairs, and you look at the light emission from these ones, for example. You can see you get a very uniform light emission, and you can get excellent light emission, for example. And now you can see that you can make all sorts of exotic structures. You can see nano stars and nano spirals and a wide variety of gear-like structures and other things. Depending on the applications, you can make use of wide variety of nanostructures. So now let me move from materials to devices. And you can see that all of us have studied in undergraduate optics courses for lasers. You need to have a gain medium. You need to create a laser cavity, putting some mirrors. We excite the gain medium to create population inversion. And as and when the gain in the medium is equal to the losses, lasing starts taking place. So then essentially this equation is saying exactly the same thing here, for example. So now if you take the nanowires and you shine light from the top, light starts propagating along the length of the nanowire because of the fact that the nanowire has got a high refractive index with respect to the air here surrounding me here. And both ends of the nanowires act like mirrors, for example. That means naturally, this nanowire forms as a laser cavity, and they also get a gain. So if I design my lasers correctly, and we really produce good quality materials, I should be able to make each nanowire as a laser. In fact, we have been working in this area for a long time, and my colleague, Associate Professor Sudhama Kapati, who is now at Monash University, she has been in my group, and then she has been working very closely with these students, where we demonstrated a wide variety of lasers. But I will not have time to talk about all of them. I'll just give you one or two examples. So here's a case where you end up looking at the light propagation to the nanowires. And this work has been done by my student, Dr. Zu Saxena, who is at Imperial College, where he has been looking at various optical modes which are propagated to these nanowires. I'm giving you TM01 mode, the one which is shown here, through propagating to 260 nanometer gallium arsenide. It turns out that the smaller diameter nanowires are not very good for making lasers. You really need to have the larger diameter nanowires like 250, 300 or so. The simulations is helping us as a guide, for example. So taking this one, and another student, Dr. Jenny Jiang, who is at Cambridge University now, she's grown these nanowires, and we transfer them onto a glass slide, excite with the laser pulse, and look at the light emission. Below threshold, you see a very broad light emission. Above threshold, you see very narrow light emission, and you also see the beautiful interference fringes. And in fact, Brew has done simulations, and he was able to compare both of them. You can see the light output versus pump intensity. Here is a threshold behavior here, and above threshold, you see a very bright light emission, or a very light output power increases much faster than below threshold, where it is actually a light emitting diode, like spontaneous emission. Here you can get stimulated emission, for example. Log plot shows the S-type behavior. So in fact, we published this work about a decade back or so, which created a lot of excitement operating particularly at room temperature. So we've been working with our colleagues in Strathclyde University, where they developed a technique called the transfer printing technique. And so then in this case, they drop it, the PDMS stamp, they pick up this nanowire, and then you drop it wherever you want. Again, is a research fellow in their group, Bernhard Gulhebert, spent a lot of time in optimizing these things. So we can transfer these things onto flexible glass substrates and then excite them with the laser pulse and look at the light emission. You can see narrow line width and threshold-like behavior, indicating that this transfer process is a gentle process. We have not created any damage. Again, these we want to use them for flexible optoelectronics applications, so that's why we transfer them onto glass slides. We've transferred them onto polymer waveguides, and here's the SU8 polymer waveguide. And we transfer 2 nanowire lasers here. We excite them and look at the light propagating to these ones. You can see the light coming at the other end, for example, here, indicating that these are very good for multiplexing and demultiplexing applications. And again, Dimitar Geotix, a PhD student in the group, has worked very hard. So now we asked them that, can you be able to couple these nanowires into nano antennas? This is the work of my young colleague, Professor Fang Ren. She was in my group. Now she's a full professor at Nanjing University. And then she has been working on this some so-called terahertz metamaterials. And then we asked them, can you be able to locate, there's a gap here, and we asked them to locate these nanowires. As you can see that this nano antenna, which is made out of aluminum here, and you excite these ones and look at the light emission. If you do not have any nano antenna, light is coming from the both ends of the nanowire, which acts like a fabricated cavity. But if you've got a nano antenna, and then light is coming from the vertical direction because light gets redirected towards vertical direction. Narrow line width and threshold-like behavior indicating that these are really very high-performing lasers. And whenever you want to couple the light to an optical fiber and the waveguides you'll use this laser. Whenever you want to get the lasers which are really used for facial recognition applications and other meta-optics applications and other things, you use these vertical emitting nanowire lasers. Again, this created a lot of excitement within the community. So now let me come to the ring resonators. This is a work of Wei Wong, a student here, where again, he designed these rings and what should be the diameter of the ring, what should be the width of the ring, what should be the thickness of the ring. He grown these structures. Again, you excite these ones and you can see broad light emission acting like a light emitting diode below threshold. Above threshold, you see beautiful spring gallery modes. And that's how you would expect from these lasers. For example, theoretical simulations and experiments match very well. And again, narrow line width and then threshold-like behavior. And my colleagues, all of them are listed here also, have been shown here. And then this work has been published only late last year or so. So till now, I've only shown you optically pumped lasers, but ultimately industry is interested in making electrical injected lasers. So for that, you need to make PN junctions. And this is work of Dr. In-Soo Kang, my former student, who is now at Samsung, where you dope this one with the P-type dopant, put some quantum well, and put the N-type dopant, and then make some contacts using electron beam lithography. Again, In-Soo spent more than 2 years in optimizing these things. So inject current and look at the voltage drop, and you can see that the IV characteristics showing like a diode-like behavior. As and when you're increasing more current, you can see brighter and bright light emission, and also you end up having no narrowing of the line with no threshold-like behavior, indicating that they are behaving like a light-emitting diodes, not like lasers. Then you ask the question, why? You got a PN junction, you're not a gain medium, and you're injecting current, and you're able to get nice IV characteristics. Why you're not able to make them to lasers? It turns out that when you put metals on top of these nanowires, these metals are interacting with the nano light, and metals absorb light. That means you create a lossy cavity. You have to pump it harder to be able to get over those losses. And in the process, you generate a lot of heat, and heat reduces the P gain. That means you have to pump it harder. It becomes like a vicious circle, for example. And now another student, Nick Agrani, has been working in this area, replacing these metals with the tin oxide and the zinc oxide and other materials, with the hope that we'll be able to make good contacts and then still be able to make the lasers work. And before In-Soo leaving, instead of making single nanowire LEDs, he also made array nanowire LEDs by filling this gap with polymer, putting some indium tin oxide at the top, and then the metal at the side and the bottom here, so that he's able to show that nice IV characteristic like a diode-like behavior. As and when you're injecting more current, and you end up getting more and more bright light emission. In fact, you can see under this probe bright light emission coming from these ones, for example. Okay. And one of the advantages of these ones is that because we're embedding in a polymer, we can peel these things off very easily. That means you can be able to attach these things to a backpack and be able to then charge your electronic devices. And that's what makes it very interesting to really develop these particular technologies. Now let me move from lasers and LEDs to terahertz radiation. What is terahertz radiation? Terahertz radiation really falls between electronics. In electronics, we talk about microwaves and radio frequencies and millimeter waves. And in photonics, you talk about ultraviolet light and visible light and infrared light. There was a gap called terahertz gap for many years. So now, why we are interested in terahertz radiation? Because many molecules have got signatures in the terahertz parts of the electromagnetic spectrum. And then also that basically that means explosives and detected by using terahertz spectroscopy. Also, terahertz radiation is reflected by metals. Nowadays in the airports, we don't use X-rays because X-rays are ionizing radiation. They create DNA damage. And then by using terahertz radiation, and we're able to detect these ones because it's a non-ionizing radiation. You can look at the cavities in the teeth, and for biomedical imaging applications, wireless communications applications where you can download from a kiosk, a wide variety of movies onto your smart device, or even detection of water content in the leaves so that you're only watering the crops when they need to be. So this work jointly with my colleagues at Oxford University, Professor Michael Johnson and Professor Laura Hertz. and where we transfer this nanowire onto a quartz substrate and then put some metal contacts using electron beam lithography. This is the work of my student, Dr. Kun Pang, who is now a postdoc at Oxford University. You excite these nanowires with a laser pulse, generate photocarriers, and then you come up with a terahertz pulse. Electric field of the terahertz pulse separates these carriers, and then you end up measuring photocurrent as a function of time. So if you measure the current as a function of time, and you can extract the electric field as a function of time, and in the process that allows you to be able to really get the room temperature operating terahertz detectors with a broad bandwidth or so. To cut the long story short, and Kun Pang, my student who is now a postdoc at Oxford University, she has really made these nanowire the terahertz detectors. You can see she makes these so-called bout antennas and then connects these bout antennas with the nanowire and then excites with the laser pulse and then comes with the terahertz pulse and looks at the current. You can see that the light output versus current as a function of time, and then also that you can see that the frequency domain by doing fast Fourier transforms such as this is a nanowire detector, this is a simulation, and this is a bulk detector. You can see that they are very much comparable, showing that these nanowires also have a very broad bandwidth. And again, they're only consuming much less space than a bulk detector, for example. So then we asked ourselves, can we be able to make polarization resolved detectors? So in this case, instead of putting one set of nanowires with both antennas, you have to be able to locate another set of nanowires on the 90 degrees to each other. So the challenge has been to avoid the physical contacts between the top nanowires and the bottom nanowires. And you can see these things here, for example. And then again, we work with our colleagues at Strathclyde University and Oxford University, where we transfer these nanowires onto these top nanowires without making any physical contact, for example. And in fact, excuse me. And then we're able to use these nanowire, these terahertz polarized detectors to be able to look at the changes in the polarization state of a terahertz pulse. And we're taking this terahertz pulse and sent to a terahertz metamaterial, and it changes the polarization properties. You measure both X and Y polarization using our terahertz detectors. And you can see the actual terahertz detector, the terahertz metamaterial, which has been grown and designed and fabricated by Dr. Kun Pang. And then you can see the theoretical simulation show that it should be X and Y polarization should be like this. And an experimental so also it shows this one. In fact, she was able to publish this work in Science Journal in 2020, middle of the pandemic. 3 years of hard work of Kun Pang really paid off. So now this work of my colleague, Dr. Zion Lee. And in this case, we have been looking at making visible and infrared detectors. So you can see that by changing the diameter of the nanowires, you can be able to tune the detection wavelength. And you can see the electric field concentration in these nanowires here. And then based on these ones, we've grown these nanowires of different diameters on the same wafer in different regions, and then characterize these ones. You can see the photocurrent as a function of wavelength. You can see that they can tune this detection wavelength, for example. And then in collaboration with our colleagues at University of Western Australia, we're able to image this flower using our terahertz multi-wavelength detector and be able to reproduce this one. Well, only last year also we were able to really publish this work. So now you're talking about, let's move to the nanowire solar cells. And again, all of us have studied about solar cells. And in the case of solar cells, you need to have a p-n junction, and you need to make contacts at the top and the bottom. And then you have to shine light. You need to make it thick enough to be able to really absorb all the sunlight. And then you have to collect these carriers. So, but some of the carriers are lost. When you say 20% efficiency, 80% of the carriers are lost. But in the case of nanowires, what we could do is that you can make one type of nanowire, like a P-type, and then coat it in an L-type shell. So thereby you can create these so-called core shell nanowires, for example. Also, they act like light funnels because of the high refractive index in this case. So we've gone off and did lots of simulations and then looked at what should be the height of the nanowire, what should be the diameter of the nanowire, what should be the distance between the nanowires. And you can see that the most of the current is generated at the tip of the nanowire. So that's why I end up getting a very bright light emission, for example. And so then in this case also that the diameter should be somewhere between 150 to 160, and diameter to pitch ratio need to be like 0.5 to 0.6 or so. And the height should be somewhere between 2 to 3 microns. So again, my former student, Dr. Vidya Raj, who is now at Glasgow University, has grown these p-type indium phosphide nanowires, and then he's coated these with the n-type zinc oxide and aluminum doped zinc oxide using atomic layer deposition technique, and to be able to really coat this the nanowires with the conformally onto these nanowires of indium phosphide, for example. So then we go and then look at IV characteristics showing that this diode-like behavior, and also that's showing excellent efficiency of 17% or so, which looks very promising for wide variety applications, for example. So now let me move towards photoelectrochemical water splitting. In the case of solar cells, you can really make use of these ones, but in the nighttime you cannot use them. So that means you need to have batteries, and then if you want to use it for transport, and then you need to have heavy batteries to carry, they consume energy as well. But hydrogen is seen as a clean energy source, transportable energy source, storable energy source. In this case, we are using photoelectrochemical cell in splitting water to generate hydrogen as a clean energy source. So typically one can do is that you can really have an anode and a cathode, and then you apply some bias and then assign some light, and then look at the photo dissociation of water, for example. So in this case, when you essentially by catalysis, by exciting this, shining light on top of this photoanode, for example, you generate electron-hole pairs, and these holes go and oxidize water, and then electrons go there and then really mix with the electrons and then the protons, and then create hydrogen, for example. Okay? It's a clean energy source, for example. This work was led by my colleagues, Dr. Shivakar and Professor Hotan. So we're using gallium nitride, and one of the challenges are how stable these electrodes are, how efficient they are, and so then also how costly they are. Cost is also an important one when they're really designing anything. So here's a case of the gallium nitride nanowires, which are grown by the top-down process, fabricated by the top-down process. And normally gallium nitride is very difficult to etch. But whereas in this case of the photo-oxidation conditions, and you end up really have to coat these with the cobalt oxide, and then by using combination of our gallium nitride and cobalt oxide, we're able to demonstrate excellent results, and involving particularly many American scientists as well, which they were really happy. So now let me move towards brain repair. This is the work of my young colleague, Dr. Vinay Gautam. And all of us know about, we got 80 billion neurons, and these neurons form into a neuronal network. If you get a brain damage due to accident or one reason or the other, and you break this neuronal circuit, and you lose some of the function. So we asked ourselves, can we create nanoscale scaffolds and be able to really put them, and then be able to make these connections back and be able to give the functions back to them. So Dr. Vinay Gautam and my colleague who spent about 2 years in optimizing various protocols in order to be able to get these neurons to grow. And you can see that the cell body soma is here, and these neurites are really following these patterns of these square patterns nicely here, for example, including dendrites coming out of these ones. But if you end up putting more than one neuronal cell, in this box is the one where nanowires are, they really form into this nice network of neurons following these patterns beautifully. If the planar indium phosphide, which is outside, these connections are made randomly, for example. What Winnie does is that she does calcium imaging, and where she puts a calcium dye, as and when the action potentials have been fired by these neurons, ion channels, these calcium ions are passing through these ones. Concentrations of the calcium ions will determine the fluorescent intensity of this light being detected here. So then you create correlation maps. If this neuron is firing, what's happening to this neuron and this neuron, these astrocytes also. And you can see that she really compares these neurons grown on nanowires with the neurons which are grown on plain glass substrates. If you go and look at these, the neurons which are grown on glass substrates, change in fluorescent intensity as a function of time, you can see that these neurons are randomly growing, very little correlation is taking place. Since then she goes and compares these with indium phosphide nanowires, for example. And you can see that you can get excellent correspondence indicating there are synchronized and correlated activities taking place within the nanowire, because all the nanowires are firing at the same time. And when Vinnie Gautam presented this work about 4 years back at a conference in neuroscience in Melbourne, and many neuroscientists were asking what type of neurons you're growing. And then she said she's growing, the neurons, which are the mouse neurons, and then mice neurons. And then they said that, how about using human stem cells? So now we got a project working with my colleagues at Melbourne University, Monash University, Wollongong University, and ANU, and particularly with the stem cell biologists, those are taking the stem cells from the Alzheimer's patients and healthy people and creating the so-called brain organoids or mini brains with and without microglia. And then we are really looking at a multi-electrode analysis and calcium imaging to better understand the differences in the signaling behavior between both of them, and then applying the deep neural networks, artificial intelligence techniques to be able to analyze the data, for example. So it's a long project to go to, but it's an exciting one. And this particular work, we're excited about it, particularly working with computer scientists and stem cell biologists and neuroscientists has been great fun for me, for example. So now in conclusion, so nanowires open up opportunities for manipulation of light matter interaction at the nanoscale and developing new class of lasers and LEDs, infrared and terahertz detectors, integration of optoelectronic devices on various platforms, and solar cells and the PEC water splitting, photoelectrical water splitting, for example, engineering the growth of the neuronal networks. And once again, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the people, those who contribute to our work, as well as also our funding agencies, those are listed here, for example. And as been mentioned, that I'm currently serving as editor-in-chief of Applied Physics Reviews. It's a very high impact journal in our field. And typically, currently, our rejection rate is close to 90%. That means whenever you got only breakthrough, try to think of submitting to Applied Physics Reviews. Our Center of Excellence is advertised for PhD students and postdocs at this website from 5 different universities. Please keep an eye on it. And then whenever the advertisements are done, and then you can really apply to those ones. And finally, as a gratitude to many of the teachers and people, those who helped us, my wife Vidya and I have created an endowment to help support students and young physicists from the developing countries to come and spend some time at the ANU. And the ANU itself has created a future research talents program in order to be able to support students from the developing countries. In 2019, we had 52 students came from India and 1 student came from Indonesia. And really, they had a great fun working in a wide variety of areas, for example. Unfortunately, last 2 days and this year, 2 years and this year, we're not able to really support any students because of the COVID pandemic and border closures. So with that, once again, thank you for your attention. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. And particularly, I encourage students to ask questions.
Sir, is it audible?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, anyone having any questions? Any questions?
Don't feel shy.
So we have a gathering of students, sir. If
Yeah.
I think it's visible to you. Can we have a view of the students to sir? So we have a gathering of students, sir.
Yeah, okay, I cannot see it and I don't know why.
Video offline undanడి చూడండి. Video offలో ఉంది. Sura.
Yeah, now I can see them. Yeah. Good. I can see a lot of bright young students there. So since there are students, and I also want to tell you that it doesn't matter where you started your life and how difficult your life has been and where you studied. If you believe in yourself, you work hard and work smart, everything is possible in life. Okay, good luck to all of you.
Right. Yes. Yeah, you have any question? 1 second.
Hello. Thank you, Professor, for the wonderful talk. So I have few questions related to the fabrication flow and regarding the power consumption of when you are modeling the neural networks using nanowires. The first question is it possible like we can integrate this fabrication flow which you are using for nanowires with CMOS technology? Like the one
That's a
which
very good question. That's a very good question. So in fact, it turns out the IBM Zurich recently has demonstrated nanowire-based transistors on 6-inch silicon wafer using their fab line, indicating that it is possible to do that one because lattice mismatches are no longer an issue. That means you can bring 3-phase semiconductors and silicon together, for example. That's looking very exciting. And also now you can start making transistors vertically. That means you'll be able to really pack more transistors, for example, rather than in the horizontal direction. So that's why they're quite excited about it as well. Yes, it is possible. That's what my colleagues at IBM are really looking at that. Because see, Intel and IBM and others are working on these nanowires. And so thereby already FinFETs look like nanowires, but they're all horizontal, but these are the vertical ones, for example.
Yeah, actually, beyond 5 nanometer technological nodes, it seems like there are around 15 to 20 metal layers recently released 7 nanometers by Intel. So is it possible, like with these nano pillars, what you are making, like which needs a completely different setup for fabrication, like what we don't need in normal lab for fabricating these pillars? So what is the feasibility like so that we can make compatible of these nano pillars so that we can integrate with the CMOS? Like, does it make sense, like considering the equipment in the nano fabrication lab? Like,
yeah, that's a good question. And again, so basically, that is why we are really going away from gold seeded nanowires, because gold is really terrible for silicon.
Yeah,
now, people really don't want to use any gold in the CMOS processing because gold is a non-radiative recombination center in silicon. So that means, it really degrades the performance of silicon-based transistors, for example.
Okay.
So that's why we're moving towards this selective area epitaxy, where you use lithography to be able to pattern these holes, for example, and then grow these nanowires so that it is compatible to the large area structures which typically CMOS industry uses. But the challenge is that, really compatibility of one material to the other, particularly if you're doing high temperature processes and other things. So what people have been doing is that, they try to make a CMOS circuit, for example, and then try to make some sort of, optical device afterwards in the other part of the silicon so that you can be able to really get an amplification and detection of signals, for example, for photodetectors and other things. And that's what people are exploring to be able to do that, for example.
Thank you. And the second question is, you are trying to model the neural networks with these nano pillars, right?
So in this case, what we're doing is that
I have
go ahead.
Quick question regarding this, like what is the power consumption when we compare this nano pillars with conventional CMOS technology that actually, we are trying.
So it's really interesting that, see, we are not doing neural networks typically used in engineering. What we're doing is we are using real biology here, of using real biological neurons and understand the brain better so that you can be able to help people with dementia and other neurological disorders. Okay. We're not making neural networks here at all. The neural networks are something which you do, means you can make, memristors and other things and try to mimic how the neuron behaves in electronics. So that's a different ball game altogether. I'm not doing that here. I'm really using real world, real biological neurons taken from real animals like, mice or otherwise real people from stem cells or so. There's a main purpose of this one is not for computing. What we want to use them for people, those who have got problems with the brain, for example, and better understand what is the difference between somebody who has got dementia, why they lose their memory, what are the signaling differences from these neurons, with respect to the healthy people and then people, those who got the Alzheimer's disease, for example, and thereby will be able to really stimulate those brains or otherwise introduce drugs using the nano electrodes, for example, and see which drugs are better to be able to get the functions back, and then be able to really use those only drugs for helping people, for example. So really, it's a biomedical study of engineering, for example, rather than neural network simulations.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
Students, don't feel shy.
Yeah. So this is the modern technology that is driving plenty of devices. We are using plenty of modern devices. So students can come out with questions, anything, any general question. We have plenty of UG students, sir.
Yeah, sure. But that's, ask me any question, or even your career question or anything. We still got another 8 minutes and before the next talk starts. Feel free to ask me questions.
Right. So let me conclude. Sir, I would like to thank you at the outset of my heart. Really, with a single message on WhatsApp, sir responded and accepted to give a keynote address. So this is a conference which has been prestigiously organized after so many years. We have been going through the conditions of COVID, and almost getting a big gathering was a big issue. And when I messaged to Professor Jagdish sir, we were at a dilemma. Should we have it physically or should we have it virtually? So that's why I did not clarify, or I did not confirm that it will be a physical keynote address or it will be a virtual keynote address. But looking into the wave 3, what we had recently, we had to stick to the virtual conditions. So I asked sir, okay, let us have a virtual session, sir. So sir was very kind enough, and he agreed to deliver a keynote address. So it's already late evening for them. He's in Australia. Of course, it is lunchtime for us, but it is late evening for them. And obviously, it's like out of office hours for them. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your kind concern and delivering a very fruitful lecture. Even the other day, when I was taking a class for the computer science students on the sensors, I was talking about this nanotechnology, and they were really astonished. Sir, we are computer science students. What is this nanotechnology playing role in our course? So I told them, the future technology, whatever software we are talking about, is everything connected to hardware. So hardware and software go together to build the future technologies. So really, your lecture was very useful, sir. And I hope the students have found it and the participants have found it interesting. I would like the audience to give a standing ovation to sir with a big hand.
Thank you very much, Rajesh, for that for those kind words. And now I know that the students are hungry. That's why they're not asking any questions. We wish you good luck and enjoy your lunch.
Yeah.
Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you so much, sir. As the organizing chair of the conference, I really extend my heartfelt thanks to you for immediately accepting our invitation. Thanks a lot. So we'll be in touch with you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much, Professor Lin. Thank you very much.
Sir, one thing. I will request the faculty to come onto the stage. We'll have a virtual photograph with sir. We'll be there on the screen and we'll be there on the stage. Yeah, please. Faculty and participants, few participants.
1 second. Students, all of you, just information to all of you about the afternoon sessions. So as I told you in my inaugural speech, like we do have 2 sessions which will be parallelly running in KR's auditorium and Ambedkar seminar hall. So I request all of you to please attend those sessions. We are going to have 2 invited talks in KRC auditorium. So please take it as an opportunity to attend and get benefited by the talks, after which we'll have the paper presentation sessions. You will have an idea when you actually attend. So please don't miss this opportunity. Welcome all of you. So have your lunch and all of you please participate. You can now leave and go and you can have your lunch.